Today we're going to focus on chemical change. This topic is mainly for grade 12's paper 2 for term 2, and also in grade 11 you also had an information about chemical change in terms of when we're talking about these concepts. So today's focus is we're going to be focusing on what are endothermic reactions, and then what is an exothermic reaction, and what is an enthalpy or heat, and what is a chemical reactions. But looking at this, I didn't really place them in an alphabetical or in a logical order. But our first thing that we're going to start with what is chemical reactions. And then immediately when we understand what are chemical reactions, then we're going to move along to what are endothermic and exothermic. But remember that when we talk about an exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction, we're talking about the heat. That's why now this enthalpy comes into the picture. So now when we talk about the heat, we're going to be focusing on, is the heat an endothermic one or is the heat an exothermic one? Now let's focus on what are chemical reactions. So chemical reactions, I'm talking about when we have what you call reactants and when we have products. So let's say that I have A reacts with B, it will give us C and D. So let's say that, remember that in chemical reactions, the ones that are on the left side are called reactants. And then the ones that are on the right side, we call them products. So looking at this, we are saying that A and B are reacting together to give us C and D. But remember that looking at this, it means that our reaction are what you call reversible. It can be forward and it can also go backwards. It's a reversible reaction. The forward is when we focus on the upper arrow, and then the reverse is when you talk about the lower arrow. So looking at this, always know that the ones that are on the left are reactants, the ones that are on the right are products. So you react these two so that you can get these two, or maybe you can get even one. You can even get CD or you can get C plus D, depending on what you are reacting with. But remember now, looking at these reactions, we have what you call an enthalpy. What is an enthalpy? An enthalpy, we're talking about the heat that these reactants and this product produce or absorb, depending on what type of materials or the catalyst we have used. I will say it in this fashion. When we talk about an endothermic reaction is when we say that the reactants absorbs heat. It's when we say that reactants absorb heat. It's when we talk about endothermic reactions. And then exothermic reactions, when we talk about reactants releases heat. When we talk about reactants releases heat, then I will give great examples about this in terms of what are endothermic and exothermic, looking at our chemical reactions. So looking at this, we can say that if we were to focus on what is an endothermic and exothermic, let's say we have reaction when A and B are reacting, and then there is heat. There is heat into the picture, and then it gives us a certain product of maybe, let's say it gives us CD. Let's say that A plus B, let me write AB. Let me write A, B, so that